All right. Well, if you've made it to episode 3, thank you so much. This is Psych Your Way to Success. I'm Claire Bike. And as always, I have,
Heather Fife.
yes, and we have the absolute fortune today to talk about and what we're wearing is to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month that we're in right now, as well as talk about women in business. It's almost like the overplayed but undervalued conversation that we seem to have in our day-to-day lives, but quite honestly it's never going to get played out as far as I'm concerned. Obviously I'm a woman, I'm biased, but talk about some of our overt biasnesses, if that's even a word. But yeah,
It is now.
it is now. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I want to hear. All right. So, really kind of looking to you on this one, Heather. I know that you've had quite a bit of experience being you know, your own boss, being an executive in other organizations, running medical facility, doing all the things that, a lot of times are not typically done by men.
Yeah, I always feel like, I mean, I guess my shirt kind of says it. It says, be the best version of you.
I love that. Yeah, for those of you that can't see it, it is a really great shirt. Yep.
Exactly. So, I would say the first thing is that there is no secret sauce to be a woman in business. Just like I think there's no secret sauce to be a person in business. I don't think it matters if you're a woman, a man, uh, undecided,
Whatever it is that you want to be.
whatever
Yeah.
you want to claim. I think the most important one is to be that best version of yourself and believe in yourself. Believe that you can. If your goal is to make it to the top. I mean, I remember one day I was interviewing somebody for a job and I was like, it was, I'll say like a lower level job, not a super low level job, but like,
More of
not
an
the
entry
top,
level position.
more of an, and thank you,
Yeah.
entry level position. And I asked them, what are your dreams? And they were like, this. And they wanted that entry level position. And I asked them why, just because I was so curious, because I always have these big aspirations like, I'm going to run, this company or that company, or I'm going to build a company or whatever I'm going to do. It's always big. It's never like, and they were like, I love having a 9 to 5 job that I can count on a
Mm.
paycheck and then I can be home for my kids and I can do this and that. And I just thought it was so beautiful because she was confident in what she wanted to do. She was not embarrassed about it and wasn't like, I need to be something more than what I am. And so that's when I really started to adopt the philosophy of just be the best version of yourself and believe in yourself, and whatever you want to do that really
Yeah.
well, you know?
I love that. I think that more often than not, especially for those of us that are parents or for those of us that are maybe older siblings, we really always keep trying to get like our other siblings or our children to strive for these stars every single time. And absolutely, we want that. Don't get me wrong, but it's not necessary every time. You can have your goals be whatever it is that you want to be, and I love that you have adopted that. I will say though, women in business in general, I think that there are times, and there's this massive controversy around whether or not there is equality in business, there isn't, and I don't want to dive into like whether or not there is equality or not. I feel like there's a lot of state science and data around that can answer that as of today's date. But I think more importantly, what are some of the things that we can do? I've been in, sailing. I've been in the military. I've been in construction, manufacturing businesses. I will say, as a woman in a male dominated field, sometimes the biggest thing is you can joke about it, but like, how do I behave today? What am I supposed to do in a meeting? How do I do these day to day? activities and not be seen like, I don't want to be seen as the B word, but I also don't want to be walked all over, right? There's a fine line for any female in the industry or in any industry to make sure that they are being assertive without being the B, right? The big B.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and you see that in many different areas. You know, even in relationships, in family dynamics, in everything. But I would say a woman in business, one, you have to be educated. You definitely need to understand whatever topic or subject that you are working on. I also think
Now, let me just ask a quick question. A woman needs to be educated. Are you talking about formal education, or are you talking about, okay, that
no,
she's
no,
shaking
I'm
her head,
not.
everybody.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I'm saying, and that's why I said you need to be educated in whatever topic you are trying to be the best in or trying to work in. So, for
Yeah.
example, when you were in the military, you need to understand the military. You know,
Mhm.
like a lot of people don't even understand that there's different degrees of being inside the military and what a colonel is and what a captain
Or the
is or what.
ranking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I clearly don't know, you know. But there is a ranking order, and there's certain things that, like, you know, when a one-star general comes by, that you stop and salute them, or, you know, I don't know what the
Sure.
things are, but there's probably a lot. So you want to be educated in whatever you're like. If you're serving ice cream at an ice cream bar, you want to understand about that ice cream, you know, how it's made and how it's like, why is your ice cream more unique than anybody else's? So, like, whatever you're doing, educate yourself. I always tell my children that, like, my daughter rides horses, and I am a proponent of understanding the horse and learning about the horse, spend time with the horse, clean the horse, um, walk the horse, like really like get to know. So what, and because she's created those bonds with the horses, she's had really good luck with um, being safe on a horse, and really when she is competing that the horse is listening to her, and it's a beautiful thing. And so that's what I mean by educating yourself. So when you go into a meeting, be prepared. Like, there is always going to be an agenda, and if there's not, create one of your own. Like, go into a meeting and be so well rehearsed with what you want to get out of the meeting that if there isn't an agenda, you can create that agenda. I
Absolutely.
definitely saw that with our board member Lauren. I was very
Oh,
impressed by her. We went in and met with um, some people at Harvard about classes, and she had, I didn't even think to have like an agenda or topics or anything, not even a little bit. And she had four different points she wanted to talk about. You know what was so beautiful about her, and I was super impressed by, is she allowed me to speak first, which now it just like giggle, makes me giggle because she was clearly the more prepared person in this scenario. And I've thought about that ever since that was last week. And I was like, you always go into a meeting prepared. And it really makes you look good. So I don't care what it is, if it's an interview, if it's a meeting with your kids' teachers,
mhm.
whatever it is, you should be educated and prepared for that meeting. So that's, I guess, what I'm saying is that I think being educated is important. And if you're educated, then it gives you the opportunity to have a big voice because you know what you're talking about. Many times we get a seat at the table and we're not using our voice. And I have seen that a lot of the times is because we're not properly prepared. We don't feel educated enough um, with that
Or
topic.
even I would even venture a guess that we feel like imposters.
Exactly.
We, and it's not always like full imposter syndrome, but quite oftentimes I have witnessed and experienced myself opportunities that I was just like, "Oh, okay, we'll just take it easy and slow roll your way in." And sometimes that isn't the path, right? Like, and I'm not saying walk in and just barrel through everybody. There is a space to be respectful, tactful, and um, be able to use your voice and be okay with saying you don't agree. I think that might be one of the hardest things for me. I know a lot of people that have worked with me might disagree with that, but
I'm shocked.
I
Okay, Claire.
I know. No, but it was like, I remember the day that I disagreed and what it felt like. And then why, when I was actually given the opportunity to explain, and then it shifted the conversation and it shifted the direction and the trajectory to um favor my opinion. And I was like, holy cow, I can do that. And you see that tangible like evidence of, oh my gosh, it matters. Like my opinion matters. And it really is making a little bit of a difference. It's moving the needle as far as where we're going in the conversation. And I will never forget that feeling. It was dynamic in the change that I felt in myself and that I felt in the room. It was impressive. And granted, I'm certain that there was absolutely nobody else in the room that understood what I was experiencing at that time. But I mean, fortunately, unfortunately for everybody else in my future, I didn't stop.
Oh my
You
God, I
know.
love it. Well, for people who can't see you, your face like lights up. So, I mean, I'm so curious about this story. We'll have to like connect later and you can tell me. But I think that that's actually a very valid point. And I would say it's even less about disagreeing and more about embracing your unique perspective because you have like everybody has a unique perspective. And I can't tell you, I'm with you. I've had multiple meetings where I come out with what I think is such an odd adjustment and everybody's like, that's exactly what we were looking for. And I'm like, it like almost takes you back because you're like, oh really? Like, I'm always like, okay, I thought I was like, you know how your heart starts pumping and you're just like, I can do this, I can do this. Okay, the next pause, I'm gonna say it, you know? And it does feel so good when you actually say it and do it. And I think it's less about disagreeing because I think it's hard in a meeting to like actually disagree, but it
Mhm.
is so much easier to say, what about this perspective? Or can we look at it from this viewpoint? It
The
just,
yes, but.
exactly the
Yes.
yes, but.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I think you're right. There's nothing, and the more you do it, the more it becomes like addicting. You know,
Well,
you're
I'm
like,
telling you,
that was
super
fun.
addicted. Yeah. I will.
Exactly.
I totally agree, and I think that if I were to clarify my statement, when I say disagree, it does mean a little bit of the go against the common grain, go against the group think, go against these like ideas that you have to just conform and follow, and it's okay to just, you know, push some envelopes, not to the point of injuring or hurting or being mean or, you know, just being, I don't know, disrespectful even. I think I think people think that they need to be rude and loud in order to do the yes buts. And that is not the case. It's not going to get you as far. It's not going to get you what you're looking for. Um, but it's completely possible to do, you know, to kind of do both.
I couldn't agree more. I also think with that whole concept, there's also that other side of owning your mistakes. You know, I think that that
Oh,
comes
the
from a
age
source
old
of,
accountability.
I mean, I know it's not a unique thought,
No, it's just so
but it's so true. So many
yes.
people, I don't, you know, working for the last, 30 years of my life, it feels like it is so frustrating when a superior doesn't just own their mistakes, and not that you're going to
Mhm.
call them out on it, but that does create a power play, honestly. And it does definitely give people that you're leading or you're working with, gives them a sense of respect for you because you're willing to own your mistakes. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't mean that like, it's just we all make mistakes, and once you make a mistake it makes us all feel better. um, I remember Simon Sinek once said that one of his best speeches was when he was on stage. It's like in front of 30,000 people, whatever. I'll make up a number.
Yes.
He was getting paid a ton of money. And he said he was up on stage and he forgot what he was going to say. Like literally just forgot, blank
One
space.
of the most famous like corporate speakers in the world.
And he said, and he just was like, he just looked at the audience. He's like, does anybody remember where I was? Or something like that. Like, I'm totally butchering this story. He's a much better
Sure.
storyteller. But, and then someone was like, oh yeah, you were talking about this. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he just like kept going, right? He said at the end of his speech, he got the best applause he had ever received. And it made that whole experience more human, where
Oh,
like
totally.
people felt like even this guy who's like this is his job.
Like he is literal pro. He teaches people how to do this for a living. Yes.
Yeah, and just so amazing. And he forgot where he was. And it was just like such an endearing story that he had said that I was like, you're right. When someone gets up on stage and they kind of make a mistake, you just
Mhm.
love them. It's like the little girl in the like recital who like messes up. She's your favorite. You
Yes.
know?
Well, and we think that that dies out when we are adults or something. And as long as you're not, I will say, like I do speaking events myself, and by no means in the level or degree of anywhere near Simon Sinek, but you know, my 50 people or whatever. Um, it is it is one of those things that I have watched people like Simon and Brene Brown and Adam Grant and you know all of these incredibly well spoken humans, and the one thing that you can relate to is the human side of them, because you've been looking up to them, their prestige and their talent for so long, that when they do have those you know very real moments, you're like, thank you for having that real moment. You make me and validate me a little bit more every time you do. Not that we want you to do it all the time, obviously, but you know, just having that glimpse into the fact that they are human, and they make mistakes a little bit. They recover
Exactly.
way
It,
way way better than most of us, but mhm,
Exactly. And you know what he said, his perspective of it, like now that I'm remembering a little bit more of the story,
mhm.
it a little, takes me
Time.
a little minute. But what he said was that the whole audience was like cheering, like rooting for him. And he
Yeah.
said that's what felt so good. And that's what like was so amazing about that speaking event, because everybody wanted him to succeed. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
everybody was paying attention and like, you got this, you know? And I just like, I like it when we can cheer each other on. And like, I mean, I think that's the other point is like surround yourself with supportive people. Like you
Yes.
want people around you who are going to, if I might transition into the next little topic with just like finding those people who are cheering you on, who do want you to succeed. I mean, I feel like that even with our board, with our
Yeah.
IOP Student Society, I think all of our board members are super supportive of each other and really encouraging each other. We want to see everybody succeed, like 100%. Like that is what I want to do with everybody on, in the society, on our board. Like I really want to see people achieve whatever their goal is. And I think that's why that girl who came to me at that entry level position, who just wanted to do her best job at that position, I was
Mhm.
like, yes, and I want you to. you know?
Absolutely. And I would love to expand on that. I mean, find the people that are going to support you but challenge you. Find those people that are going to stretch you and grow you. Find the people that are not just going to stand by your side but help lead you in the times that you're not ready to. Find the people that will open you know a door for you that you didn't even know was available, or recognize a talent in you that you weren't even aware you had. I am so grateful to have the women and the people and humans in my life that have not just supported me by saying good job, but been like, hey, are you sure this is what you want and why? Right? Like the people that challenge what I'm doing to because they care about me. They care about my direction. They care about all of these things, and we are growing together as people. And some friendships aren't going to do that. Some friendships are going to want you to stay where you're at, right? Because that makes them feel good. And they can, they don't want you to grow beyond them, or maybe you're afraid that that connection, that colleague, that friendship is, I don't know, all of the things you don't want it to let it go because it meant something to you at some point. But sometimes there's seasons in relationships too. Sometimes there's seasons in colleagues, in careers. And I just impress upon any woman in business to continue to find the people that are helping to make them grow and support them in all facets and not hold them back. And I will say it time and time again, have those healthy boundaries. Have those healthy boundaries. Keep them, hold them to you. And remember, the only time people are not okay with your boundaries are when they want to violate them. When they want to break your boundaries are the only time people are not okay with your boundaries. So like that is my parting words with women in business, and to continue to make sure that happens. So Heather.
Yeah, I love that. And just to like finish off with that, I think that comes from having a strong mindset and being resilient and accepting feedback. I think feedback is our greatest gift, and the people willing to give us feedback, I'm not going to say negative, but constructive feedback, um, is such a blessing. I can't tell you how many times I've changed directions because of some really hard feedback that I've received.
Yeah,
And I love those people who are willing and um, brave enough to say the hard things. So um,
absolutely.
I love that. I love this topic. I think we could talk for days on this.
Oh man, it could be forever. But yeah, I mean, what do they say? You and I had the same class. Feedback is the what is it? It's not Wheaties that is the breakfast of champions. It's feedback is the breakfast of champions. So there's some quotes out there about that, but I couldn't agree more. I mean, critical feedback, absolutely important.
Yeah, and part of being a great leader is understanding which feedback to take.
Yes. Don't, I mean, absorb it all, listen to it all, maybe not
Exactly.
apply all
Listen.
of it.
Exactly. Like, but make your own decisions. But it's good to like get that constructive feedback from people. So,
For sure. Excellent. Well, this kind of wraps up. Any last words that you wanted to add, Heather?
I just want to say how much I am in support of women and their goals, and how much I want to be a champion alongside other women. And I think Breast Cancer Awareness Month is such a great reminder of how we get to unite together.
Excellent. Well said. And I will add that both my mother and my grandmother passed from breast cancer awareness. My mother had it. She did beat it. And it is close to me, obviously, at that point. But I want to let anybody out there who's been touched by breast cancer awareness, not awareness, but breast cancer in their family, that we are here, we support you, and um, absolutely support any of those fun foundations out there that we possibly can. So, um, you guys, you guys are doing an incredible job. All the walks, all of the foundations, and all of those that are survivors and that are fighting the incredible fight that it is that we watch people have to go through. And, thank you for leading the way. So, I also wanted to put out there, we are wanting to hear from you guys, our audience. We would love to hear anything that you guys have to say. Obviously, we always want to hear what kind of topics particularly that you would like to hear from us. So we are going to start having people come on the show with us, and we'll have guests that will pertain to each of the topics. But please email us on LinkedIn and let us know, send us a message, and we'll start putting them on a wheel. And we'll spin the wheel, and that's the topic we'll talk about that day, as well as the topics that we have with guests. Obviously, those are going to be a little bit more planned. But anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing that intimate story.
Oh, anytime. Well, you got to kind of put it out there a little bit sometimes. Make sure that everybody knows that this absolutely sucks. And no, you're not alone. And, one day, I'm hoping we'll beat it.
Hey,
But
well,
thank you again. And we will see you next week. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
bye.